You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And Mike Gundy has been the head coach of Oklahoma State football for 19 years. When you think of Oklahoma State, you think of Mike Gundy. His face is just cemented with Oklahoma State football. There's no way that you don't think of Mike Gundy anytime you see that Oklahoma State logo pop up on your screen. But it may be time for Oklahoma State to go in a different direction, because Oklahoma State is starting to go backwards under Mike Gundy. This was a program that at one point was consistently winning 9-10 games every single season. But ever since they had their 10-win season back in 2017, they've only had one 10-win season since. In 2018, 7-6, 2019, 8-5, 8-3 in 2020. Yeah, 2021 was that big year when they won 10 plus games for the first time since that last 10 plus win season they had in 2017. But outside of that, Oklahoma State has been a mid program in the Big 12. And, you know, it's kind of a little bit harsh to say, because they don't recruit bad. They do recruit pretty well, and they do utilize the transfer portal pretty well, but they just, for some reason, can't seem to make it work when it comes to the hires on the coaching staff. Many Cowboy fans want the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator to be gone, and you got blown out by South Alabama 33-7. Like, when is that ever excusable? Like, you only can be fair to criticize Mike Gundy and question his job security. I mean, he's been here for nearly 2 decades, but eventually some dudes just lose it. And Mike Gundy may just be losing it. And you look at the state of the Big 12, even though Oklahoma and Texas are departing for the SEC, things aren't getting any easier. You got Colorado, Utah coming into that thing. Texas Tech is coming up. Kansas State are on the rise, and Oklahoma State, it just looks like they're getting farther and farther behind the 8-ball. I mean, they still can't recruit at a high enough level where they can be a legitimate championship contender. And when you look at how many star players for Oklahoma State have left this program over the last couple of years, it got to make you wonder what actually is going wrong with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State football. I mean, your starting quarterback, Spencer Sanders, last season transferred to Ole Miss, and he didn't even win the starting job. He rather said, man, I'd rather enter the transfer portal and earn my job versus remaining the unquestioned starting quarterback here because of some odd reason. The offensive line still is terrible. Mike Gundy, funny enough, after that loss against South Alabama, he said that they don't really have any big concerns. You sure about that? Because you don't have a quarterback, your offensive line is terrible, your defense isn't good. It looks like you got a lot of concerns to me. Is Mike Gundy just allowing the game to pass him by? Like, I know I'm not a head coach, and I'm not one who should really be questioning what a head coach should do or shouldn't, but when you're regressing like this and used to be a program that was around 9 to 11 wins every single season, you go from that to being a middle-of-the-pack team in the Big 12, I think everybody has a right to question what you're doing. I mean, Oklahoma State was one of those programs that people thought would be able to benefit from the college football playoffs expanding. You know, when that thing expanded to 12 teams, many people looked at Oklahoma State and it was like, yeah, this is the opportunity for them to really get in the door. But now they're losing to South Alabama. I don't even know if they're going to be able to beat Iowa State. Because, I mean, their previous wins, such as the one that they got against Arizona State, haven't been dominant. And that's what really concerns me the most. You know, against inferior opponents, they're not really dominating them how they should. Oklahoma State, man, like, I think it's time for Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State to go their separate ways. You can't be a head coach at one school for your whole entire life. Eventually, you gotta part ways. And I think now is a good time for Oklahoma State to start looking at some other options at head coach. Because Mike Gundy in this program, like, they're not going anywhere. And I mean, even if they do get the 6-7 wins, I mean, what's so special about that? You're still in the same place that you have been for the last 6 years. Outside of that 12-win season that you had in 2021, you haven't had anything remotely close to that. And Oklahoma State, although they do recruit pretty well, they still aren't recruiting top 25 classes or top 10 classes or anything like that. So they still do have to do a really good job at player development, which falls on the coaching staff. And when you got a bad coaching staff, those players aren't going to get developed. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, I know that Mike Gundy is ceremonious with this program and he's a big icon when it comes to Oklahoma State football. But I do think that it's fair to say that I don't think Oklahoma State will be wrong to go in a different direction from him after this year. Now, they very well could turn things around next season. They get a better portal class. He makes some changes on the coaching staff that work out. But what if it doesn't work out again? I mean, Spencer Sanders left. Your star defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, left. I mean, why is everybody leaving Oklahoma State? What's really going on with this program? I just think it's time for a change.